Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Moontime Devotions episode with Mr. Graham Smith. We're back, and here we are with episode 10 of our Moontime Devotions. We wanted to celebrate episode 10, which finalizes our first season of Moontime Devotions. Excitingly enough, we've had quite the journey together on this first season of Moontime Devotions, and I'm quite pleased with the way things had turned out and the topics that we got to talk about. Power, convenience, safety, love, action, productivity. Traveling is the most rewarding way to go, which can help you think of different perspectives on the Panasonic tailspin of the state of the world, and which in return can help you remember your origins, where you come from, and in return help you manage your money, help you have good fashion, help you have great dreams, get you into election to vote for county representatives or on the whole country, nationwide scale, participating in a society, and yes, this is the conclusion. This is the conclusion to our episode 10 of our Moontime Devotions. These are all tips, travel tips, love tips, action tips, good mental health tips. So, wow, here we are, folks. I'm standing beside myself because here we are in episode 10, and what a journey we've had so far. I mean, I gotta say, all of the fun we've had along the way, all the decorative days to come. Moontime Devotions will be continuing. I think by the time we get our intro video done for the Patreon, we will probably either start filming for season 2, or possibly we can start season 2 a little earlier and release it soon after that intro video is completed. And the future of Moontime Devotions is looking promising. Now, one of the things I wanted to talk about first is, last week's episode was about election and voting, and we went down to the poll center and we did get to vote, but unfortunately they didn't want anybody with cameras in there, unless you had an official license to film for like a news company or such, almost kind of like a press pass, and which we didn't have any of those. We're just average Joe off the boat trying to come in and film and show people what a democracy is and how to film, or how to rather tutorials on how to vote. And we couldn't get our cameras in there. They didn't want our cameras in there, and so that was fine. But I apologize. That's why you didn't see any videos on the voting polls. But we were definitely thinking about it. So, now that that's out of the way, Kings River election. Let me tell you, it was a close Kings River election, right up to Poppy Hole. We got real close. Some candidates left, some officials stayed. We got new people, and there's still 30,000 ballots being counted. So we've got quite an amount of time and consideration to really absorb as we get closer and closer to the days. So, my goodness, for a first season of a Moontimey Nightlight, I feel pretty bright, because we've had a successful first season here on the Moontime Devotions on our YouTube platform, and we're also considering going on Rumble, but that's beside the point of what I'm saying right now. like a nice spring flower, we have managed to sprung and sprang, and our outreach has been extended. And so many of these beautiful people, you, our viewers, have diligently and confidently determined your determined devotion to watching our Moontime show has created such a fissure in my heart of happiness and of joy and of love, and I'm just so grateful that we got to kickstart this show. Because as I said, the depths of Moontime Devotions goes so far down the history line. We've been on this show has been successfully running since 1905, as we explained in our origins video. If you want to go back and see the historical origins of Moontime Devotions, where it started on the radio back in 1905, you go back and check out the video if you want more accurate details. But so the history of this show has been ever-reaching, and here we are with a new modern take. And they do this sometimes with old shows. They bring them back and they give them a modern look, a modern take, a new fresh coat of paint, and it really brings out the joy and the love of the ideas behind it and the creator's intent for bringing it out to the population and to anybody who may or may not be interested in watching it. And so these are the things that I'm thinking of in my mind. I'm just so grateful that we've had this much success. Since we've started running this show, we've had countless viewers, 3 subscribers, we've had donations up the wazoo, we got a new light, we've got a new set, we even have extra spare change for little doilies and treats and things for our puppy dog. Which, by the way, there's another thing. Our doggie is sleeping right now. She didn't want to get up this morning. She was very, very tired, and so I let her sleep on her bed. And so she's very happy staying there on her bed. And as always, here we go. Very unorganized. 4 in the morning. Very unorganized on this Moontime Devotions episode. We're kind of all over the place. I go from here to the election, then to the conclusion, back to the finale of our episode, and like I said earlier, folks, I was beside myself about that too, but I'm beside myself here about this show and how it's the end of it's the end of the first season of Moontime Devotion, and we didn't think we'd make it this far, quite honestly, and it's just so exciting for us that we get to share this information with you and keep you informed, updated, and grappled to the exciting and new, intriguing details of what it means to be alive, and what everything that pertains to a Moontime Devotions, and how you can wake up early in the morning and have these Moontime Devotions, or late at night, or whatever your time is. And these ancient civilizations have been doing this for thousands and thousands of years, and we just continued that tradition in the good old-fashioned American way since 1905, and we started on the radio. And so, just in my little span, though, on this historical timeline, when it comes to the history of Moontime Devotions, here we are on the final episode. And like I said, we've got Season 2, Season 3, Season 4 coming soon. We have some donations. I guess really what I want to get to is, and I got to it for a second, then I got distracted again because I'm just so excited and full of joy about this whole thing, because it's just been unbelievable. It's been tremendous. It's just been a blast. But we couldn't have made it without you. I'm looking at you, I'm pointing at you, I'm thinking about you, and we're talking about you, the viewers, our viewers, our viewers who stayed with us the whole way through. Moontime Devotions has been successfully running our first season for the last 3 months, and we've managed to cover an array, a wide variety, or a wide variety and an experimental variation of different topics throughout these 3 months together. And I've certainly built a lot of intimacy with a lot of my, backers and viewers, like Boogeyman57. We will call you out every episode we have for giving us such a beautiful light for our studio. And these are the kind of connections that we've made. We're so grateful that you've helped me and my crew continue to run this show successfully for the first season. Because, folks, I tell you, when you're making a TV show, you throw out the first episode. You throw out the first episode pilot. A lot of TV series, the first episode's kind of called pilot, and so that we just kind of followed that as an approach to bringing out this show. And when we threw that first episode out, we threw it out on a string, out on a limb. We didn't know how long it would last or where it would go, if people would like it, if people wouldn't like it. And yet here we are with so much love and success and intimacy and closeness that we've gathered from our YouTube community. And these viewers, the people that come in day and night, devoted to the cause, watching this show all over the world. It's beyond my little Moontime head. It's beyond my pumpkin head, really. That you can imagine the outreach that this show has managed to gather up and giddy up to. We have gone the giddy up outreach of bringing the Moontime Devotions and bringing people together through it. And I get very emotional. I get very emotional thinking about it because it's just been such a long time together. So much unity has been promoted on this channel. So much good love and health and care and just harmony. We've had so much harmony with this show. We've gathered people together that we've never thought would even look at each other walking across from each other down the street. And yet, here we are, we all have one common cause. It's the Moontime Devotions. We all gather around in our mornings, or our nights, or in our days after work, or on our breaks, and we watch, and we learn, and we see what Mr. Graham Smith has to share this time or that time, and we get to see the dog, and we get to talk about things. We get to have real life conversations about human things that pertain to living a healthy and good lifestyle, no matter who you are or how you like to interpret or act out or live through things. And so that's just about everything of the concept of who I am on this show. Is I'm very much the viewer of this show as well. As I said in the very first episode, you'll go back and you'll see, and it might even be before the first episode, the intro, and I've mentioned this before, but the introspective tools that a show like this can bring to just me, watching it, and the personal growth I get from watching this, and the good health and good observations I have through different lenses, right? And so that's the multifaceted, beautiful qualities and characteristics of an introspective TV show that can help you find personal growth to be enjoyable and to be fun, you know. And we've had a lot of fun along the way with this show, as you can see, and it's so obvious. And and we couldn't have made it without you guys. Uh, Anybody can sit in front of a camera and just start talking and learning about themselves and sharing information with others, but that's the key to that. What I'm saying is there's got to be others. It's got to be it takes a whole collective of people. The more the merrier, in my opinion, but it takes a whole collective of people, I think, to really get a good grasp of who we are, of who they are, of who the whole species is, as humans are. As humans are. You are what you are, you is what you is. It takes all of us to really understand this. And really, we're just spiraling into the beautiful dimensional and emotional changes that I felt throughout this show because of all the people that we've met along the way. And there's just so many people out there who I think could benefit from starting their own Moontime devotions. And it is kind of a trend. We've seen, in parts of the country, at least in our country here, and some parts in like Holland and some other places. Thank God for YouTube's algorithm, you can go everywhere. But we've seen a kind of a trend. Some people have been doing some TikTok videos of Moontime devotions, showing how they do their Moontime devotions in their own personal, unique way. Unilateral. That's the word that I'm thinking of right now. Unilateral way of really being the concept of Moontime devotions. This is a breathtaking, groundbreaking experience for anyone who wants to take this concept and utilize it in the most profound way of learning who you are and who they are and who we could be and who they want to be and who. It goes on forever, folks. It's an introspective healing tool. It's magic. Moontime devotions, I'm convinced. By episode 10, today's episode 10, folks, and I'm just convinced that this is magic show. This is a magic show. I am not one for believing much in the supernatural or in what most people would consider magic. And I don't mean any religious affiliation to that. I simply just mean the very essence of human connection and the longevity of communication between different populations, between the intimacy between two or more people. In itself, that, to me, in my opinion, is pure magic. And that's what I think about Moontime devotions and what it's been able to do for the population so far, for all of our viewers, our customers, all of our donors, all of our backers, our friends, our families, our colleagues. We've all been touched and moved in different ways by this show. And really, it's the connections. You break down the Moontime devotions. You've got a set of principles. You've got categories. You've got highly relatable topics that we can all grab and think about and ponder on. But like I was just getting into earlier, before as I'm explaining this, it's still early in the morning and disorganized as Moontime tradition. But it's the connections you make along the way has been the most profound experience of this show. And so, just so happy that we've got to share this gift and enjoy this gift for ourselves while spreading it out to the world. It's kind of like a pack of mayonnaise. We just spread it all over a whole roll of wheat bread. and each grain got a little coating of that mayonnaise, and each little crevice got filled up with it. And we put our mustard and our lettuce and our tomato and our bacon, and we smack that thing down, and we cut it up into little wedges, and we set that plate down at the party table. And lo and behold, 15, 16, 18, maybe more, people come by and they eat pieces, they chew on it, they think about it, and I guarantee every time they've come back and they said, Mr. Graham, that sandwich has definitely got a chewing factor to it, a quality of happiness. I feel joy from chewing down that wedge. And that's what I've gotten myself. This is what I always tell them when I get, and that's a metaphor for insight and feedback I've gotten for this show. And when I get this positive feedback and interaction from our viewers, you guys, I always go back to them. I always point back to them and explain to them, look, none of this could have been possible without you and your reaction and your attentive or interest in this. See, because I'm a big believer that we all are, not even a believer, it's just I think it is what it is, that we're all the same as people. We're all the same species, we're all the same people. We get happy, we get sad, we get angry, we get depressed, we get lonely, we get nostalgic, we get, we have very intense, but yes, very intense. Excuse me, the coffee. The coffee's definitely getting me riled up and ready for the morning. But no, what we have is intense and interweaving thoughts. We have a very you got to find the right words to give this justice, at least as much as I want to. But it's complicated. That's a good word. It's or even better than that, maybe just detailed. It's a very intense and detailed amount of thoughts that each and every human has, that we all have, because we're all the same, and none of us are simple, I guess is what I'm trying to get to. Sometimes we live in societies that want to put us into stereotypes, right? And this just happens within humanity. It's very easy for people to lose humanity, and we start degrading one another and looking down on each other, and part of that, before or after, it doesn't matter. It's relevant to both sides of the timeline. Can go about bringing a stereotype of some sort, and that happens quite a bit within the human system. And so and one of those stereotypes is that we're simple. We're just simple beings. Some people are this way, some people are that way, and it's just real black and white. And that we're simple. That none of us are as magnificent and amazing creatures as we're supposed to be, right? People aren't actualizing. They're not having the realizations of how magnificent they are as a human being, and therefore that mentality, that thinking process of not understanding how amazing you are, can spread, right? And people just start thinking that they're very simple, and they're just it's just there's no deeper thought to us. There's no other deeper message to us, which I think is poppycock. I think that's just silly, because I think we're all the same human beings, and we're all extremely unique and introspective, and we have gathered millions and millions and millions of thoughts. We have lots of thoughts. We have lots of different feelings. I think that every one of us has a part of us in our subconscious or not, or just inside our head, where we're very thought-provoked. Um, we're into that thought-provoking way of processing our information inside of ourselves. And like I've said this before, it really is that's this introspective view on the retrospective world that we see through our eyes. And so really, yeah, I just want to downplay on any of that negative condemnation or connotation. I guess condemnation, we'll just keep it there. Connotation. My goodness, silly humans. You know, but we're not simple. Us human beings are not simple when it comes to our worth. That's what I'm getting at. And it's an interesting concept, there's so much. We really opened up Pandora's box when we talk about these things for myself, and it's exciting because there's so many beautiful details to it. But when it comes to our worth as human beings, we're not simple. We are there's so many different sides to us, right? We're not cut and dry, like when you're cutting the cheese, right? With a knife, you got your cheese and you're cutting pieces of the cheese off. Each slice is going to be the same piece of cheese, and there's not much variation in it. And sure, it tastes good, but after a while you get bored with it. And for us as human beings, it's not that way. For us, it's like we're cutting a piece of cheese off, and it's different kind of cheese every time, right? And so imagine you're cutting this piece of cheese, this big block of cheese, and every time you cut a piece off, it's a different kind of cheese. It's a different kind. There's different characteristics, different tastes, different textures. And let's say you cut off, give or take 80 pieces off a big block of cheese. And then you got 80 different kinds of cheese coming from one block. And, well, that's the humanity of it, We're not always going to be the same piece of cheese every time you cut a slice off. No, you cut off lots and lots of slices, probably more than 80 to go back from what I said, but you cut off slices and it's different every time. You are more unique every time a slice is cut from that block. And so don't be a blockhead, right? We're not all the same piece of cheese. And the cheese in which that we are starting off as, right? The block of cheese that we are at first, you keep cutting layers off, and we're different every time. We have different thoughts, different intentions, different beliefs, different opinions, different ways of living, different memories, different ways of communication, of interacting with people, different ways of looking at the world and living out these things, different actions, different personalities, different ways of reaching the same compassion. And this is every single human being in the world. Every single human being. No one is excluded from this. No one is excluded from this. And so that's one of the biggest things I like to talk about on this Moontime Devotions in a nice way as best I can. I'm being a little more direct this time, but it is the conclusion of our first season. I'm trying to promote this way of thinking, that the human worth is not cut and dry, and that it's not a stereotype, that we are the most unique creatures to ever walk this planet, this rock in space. We're the most unique creatures ever. And it's important for each and every one of us to remember that we're special, right? I read a little quote on the internet about this, how we, as human beings, we are stardust. And quite honestly, that's not a far from the truth. Figuratively and physically, because we really are stardust, right? We're made up of molecules. We're made up of carbon and hydrogen and oxygen, and it's all crammed into one big piece of matter, and we really are just a bunch of chemicals from space made up to be human beings. And so, just that factor alone is so important. And again, folks always ask me, well, what's the religious agenda? There is no religious agenda. This is under religion for me. There's religion and the supernatural ways of looking at things and all that. Now I'm down here. I'm just at the very basic biological, right, view of how much we must be of worth because of the compounds and the the amazing processes that took place for us to be created, or to exist, or just to be here, right? And so that opens it up for everyone. You can interpret it through whatever religious lens or whatever ideology you like to believe in. But for me, it's just it's just basic common sense. We're amazing creatures. We're a beautiful creation that has been and is still here and will continue on forever. A part of us will go on forever. And that stuff can get real deep and all that, of course. And that's up to your own interpretation. Take that where you want it to go, and I'm sure and explain everything for you. But for me, I just want to keep it on the very basic biological, physical, human level. Scientifically, right? We're just based on chemicals, and we're just walking molecules. And but yet we have more characteristics than animals, than inanimate objects, of course. We have all these, we have the ability to love, to have compassion as a species. Arguably, we're the first species to ever have the ability to truly love and to have compassion and to have that introspective lens on how we can be as selfless, for lack of better words, to be as selfless as we possibly can. And so that's interesting, right? And these are just capabilities that we all have as human beings. I'm not saying we're a flawless species, because, well, that would be a whole nother 2 episodes. No. We're not a flawless species, but we have the capabilities to be advanced in a way that pertains to selflessness and to true love. As per Moontime Devotions tradition, our camera had cut off abruptly at the end of our show before we could even say goodbye, so we just wanted to jump on here one more time and say goodbye. We love you. Thank you for joining in for our first season of Moontime Devotions. It's been a success. It's only because of you guys, our viewers. We love you so much. And, for lack of time, I want to share more, but this is all I could really muster to bring with the time limits that we have. But stay tuned, folks. In a couple weeks, Season 2 will be starting up soon. And hopefully we'll have our Patreon, too. But regardless, thanks for tuning in, and thanks for joining us. And, stick it out with us, because you might be surprised how much more there just might be.